Hello, everyone. Ex-Wallkill Bethelite here, and we're about to discuss more about Bethel. And I think we learn more about Bethel from our discussions than from what I've seen anywhere else. I think we discuss Bethel more in depth here than I have personally seen anywhere else. This is almost like your Bethel entrance school, except for it's way better than the Bethel entrance school that I got. I hardly learned anything about Bethel in my Bethel entrance school. So we're going to discuss one of the reasons why it's such a big deal that there is only one token black governing body member. And yet you have all these congregations with black people, with Latino people, with people of all different races. And yet the governing body is primarily and has been primarily white. I'm going to discuss some of Bethel culture so that people understand that the only way all those governing body members are all white and from Russia and whatnot is racism. There's the only way that they could possibly have been all primarily one race for so long is racism. That's the only possible way. And we're going to discuss that here. We're going to get into it unlike I've seen anybody else get into it. One thing you got to understand about Bethel is socially, Bethel is structured completely different from the outside world. A man's value from the outside world oftentimes has to do with how much the person has, how much money the person has, his race. A lot of the things that determine how easily you're going to essentially get what you want in the outside world is completely different from the things that determine that in Bethel. If you're black, if you're African American, let's just face it, most African Americans don't just wake up, especially men, wake up thinking, oh, I'm about to just go out and I'm about to find the most exotic Asian woman, some Japanese exotic, I'm talking thin, not the really, really big, but the thin Asian exotic woman. I'm gonna walk up to her. She's gonna date me and we're gonna get married and we're about to have all these exotic kids. It happens, but it typically depends on how much money you have, how much fame you have. You know what I mean? It's depending on things like that. Your race, if you're white, yeah, you see white guys with virtually any race of women there are on earth. And when you look at the white guys, nothing really special about him. You know what I mean? It's just a white guy. But it's that nothing is limiting them from getting what they want because they're viewed as the desired race to date. Probably ain't a race of women on this planet that don't want to date white guys. Not every single person, but there ain't a race of women that they're in a group of them that want to date white guys. There's probably races of women where most of them don't want to date black guys. Parents don't want them to and everything. What you got to understand is that once you walk through the doors of Bethel as a black person, as a Latino person, as Indian person, as a Middle Eastern person, that roof that you have over your ceiling that you don't think that your typical white guy has, because everybody just views them as in a positive light. They're white, so they just must be great. That roof that's over everybody else's head, that you got to really have something before you get the same thing that all those other guys get, that's gone when you walk inside Bethel. Families and women do not judge men in Bethel based off of what they have, based off of their race, based off of their finances. Bethel is all about how long have you been there and where do you work. I want this to really, really sink in. That what governs the entire world changes at Bethel. When you walk into Bethel, there ain't nothing stopping you from acquiring anything. There are multiple African Americans and people of color walking around Bethel with bad Japanese women, bad Chinese women. I'm talking bad women from Colombia. Dead serious. There are more black men I saw at Bethel with all these Japanese and super exotic women than I see outside of Bethel with all of those things. Inside Bethel, it was, when you see a black man inside Bethel and he is going to a Japanese congregation, learning Japanese, walking around with little index cards, why is he doing that? The roof is gone. You got the white privilege now. At Bethel, you got white privilege now. You can go get you a Japanese bad, just walk right up to it. You're a Bethelite. I've been at Bethel this many years, and I work here. Or I work in this particular department. And you can state if you're an assistant overseer or if you're an overseer, you're in. Period. If you are an overseer of a certain department, you're in. Go pick what type of woman you like. You got white privilege. Whether this is offensive to people or not, it's the truth. You don't have the restrictions on you anymore when you walk inside Bethel. I need you to understand how that affects people. They are serious about where they work. They are serious about their assignment at Bethel because that's what gets them whatever they want. Just like people on the outside are serious about their money, about their cars, about everything like that. There are people at Bethel that are that serious about seniority, about where they work at Bethel. Because you are walking around unlike any other time in your life, you are walking around with no roof on you. You go out and acquire what you want, not monetarily at Bethel, not as far as money and things like that at Bethel, but as far as women, as far as clout, as far as prominence, as far as popularity, the roof is gone. It don't matter what race you are. Now, white guys used to this. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. A white guy's used to this. A black guy isn't. In most cases, unless you're coming from a rich family, unless you one of Boosie's kids or something like that, one of LeBron's kids. Oh yeah, there's probably no roof on there. They probably ain't got no roof. They go pick whoever they want. If you prominent, I'm talking about just a regular guy off the street. That ain't the case until you walk into Bethel. So imagine how serious blacks, Latinos, people of color, imagine how seriously they take their assignment at Bethel. But all these guys are white in the governing body. It's not going to make sense here in a minute. All these guys are white, but all the people of color, when they walk inside of Bethel, they're experiencing things they ain't never experienced before and will not experience if they leave, and they take that seriously, that job seriously. They work their tail off at Bethel. There was a guy in the food warehouse where I work. There was some major turnover in the food warehouse where our assistant overseer, we had our overseer, we have our assistant overseer. Our assistant overseer got married and left. Of course he did. He didn't have no roof on him. He had the title assistant overseer at Bethel. So a black guy, he was a black guy, he married him a white woman and got on out of there. We didn't have an overseer. We didn't have an assistant overseer, I'm sorry. We did not have an assistant overseer. Our overseer had something going on where he had to be out of town and things like that. That opening, that vacuum, that wasn't no joke. People are coming to blows for this. That wasn't no joke. So I'm not even going to, I'm going to keep it real. So basically, our assistant overseer got married him a white woman and left. Black guy, super dark black guy. And I ain't going to lie, he wasn't attractive. He wasn't attractive. He married that white woman because he was a Bethelite and an assistant overseer at Bethel. And I'm pretty sure an elder in his hall. He had all them titles. His race didn't matter. How he looked didn't matter. He grabbed him this fine white woman. Don't get me wrong. You get you a fine black woman. You know what I mean? I'm just saying his roof wasn't there. And he decided to get him a fine white woman, got on out of there. That void was there. There was no assistant overseer. They were going to be looking for a new one. When I'm telling you, people transferred from Brooklyn to Wallkill. Brooklyn. You are in Brooklyn. You are in the Brooklyn Bethel, right? You done transferred to the farm to work in a department that you had not worked in before. You hadn't worked in there previously. It was because there was an opening for assistant overseer. We had people coming from everywhere over to the food warehouse to work, and they were working their tail off. I had been there, so the jobs I knew. I would be working a job, and the guy that came over from Brooklyn, that I'm not expecting to know very much of anything because he just started, is watching me work. I mean, he's over there doing what we gave him to do, but while he's doing that, he is literally watching me. While he's doing one thing, he is watching me. I'm talking black brothers working their tail off. Latino brothers working their tail off. This dude is working and watching me at the same time, so that when we got a call, somebody called the warehouse, I had to go get the call, because for the most part, a lot of people had gotten married or had left, and the overseer wasn't there. Our assistant overseer, wasn't. Our assistant overseer gotten married, so I go to answer the phone. The minute I walk away from my position where I was working, this dude leaves his work, what he was doing, and comes over to what I was doing, because in his mind, he assumes that that's a higher job that I'm doing, and starts doing it. And I'm on the phone looking at him like, this dude was watching me. This dude just this dude is learning all these jobs super quick. You wouldn't see that in the world, quote unquote. You wouldn't see that outside of Bethel unless these jobs came with like much higher pay, like $30 an hour. There's a job paying $30 an hour. Yeah, somebody's gonna bust their tail to get that. You gotta understand that Bethel, forget the hours, the dollar per hour. Throw that out. Throw that out. Throw the dollar per hour out. It didn't matter. It was your position. It was the title that came with it. And man, when I'm telling you, you got some brothers that's serious over there, I'll tell you something that you might find funny, but ain't. In the slaughterhouse, basically. Slaughterhouse, they make the sausage and all those types of meats. I mean, they actually slaughter the animal, cut up the different parts, and bam, there you got your steak, there you got your sausage, there you got all that stuff. They're cutting it right there at the slaughterhouse. Well, there was a tour that came through. Tours typically have ladies, and the tour guide did not work in the slaughterhouse. I was over there. It's a long story. There was stuff going on in the food warehouse, which is the reason why I was over the slaughterhouse at that time. But the tour guide was just a regular tour guide. He didn't work in the slaughterhouse. He brought the tour over there to show him around. And one of the guys that work in the slaughterhouse, he just spoke up and started giving this speech. Now, follow me here. There's a tour coming through the slaughterhouse. It's just a slaughterhouse. I mean, it does sound kind of exotic, but it's just a slaughterhouse. And this guy speaks up, and it's like, here in the meat processing, we will prepare your, and this is him talking, we prepare your different meats, your sausage. It's like he was giving a talk at the district convention. Your sausage, your bologna, or as some would like to say, bologna. And I'm not joking. He differentiated bologna from bologna. Your job where you worked was everything as far as you getting all types of rewards. Anything but money was open to you. And if you got popular enough, people would send you money. You get popular enough to where tours are coming in asking for you. Yeah, after the tour, they're going to hand you some money. So yeah, you get money off popularity. What I'm trying to explain is how important each person took their job, especially your African American, your Latino, your people of color. They took their job super seriously, because everybody, of course, you want to have bring a wife into Bethel, but all of that is dependent on how important you are and your position and how long you've been there. You can walk up to a woman inside the Jehovah's Witnesses and tell her you're a Bethelite. Yeah, she's listening from that point on. The same person, me, come outside of Bethel, talk to the exact same looking, exact same race of woman outside of Bethel and just start talking to her, and she's looking at me like, just get away. You know what I mean? Like, don't even talk to me. Inside the organization, you come from Bethel, you start talking to people, they all listening when you tell them you from Bethel. The thing is they want to hear how long you've been there. You go up there talking about you've been there a year. You know what I mean? They're listening, but they're not that impressed. You tell them you've been there 10 years and you an assistant overseer, all she want to know is when y'all getting married. So what I'm telling you is people took their jobs really seriously and worked really, really, really hard. Because the value of that type of prominence for a black person or a person of color, in my opinion, comment down below, correct me if you think I'm wrong, the value of that level of prominence is higher for a person of color because they're not used to that outside the organization. Their value outside the organization in the eyes of a lot of people, as wrong as this is, but their value outside is down here. This is what they're used to. So you put them in a situation where their value is way up here, they're taking that extremely serious. Correct me if I'm wrong, I keep saying this, but a Caucasian man, his value outside the organization is still right here. As far as women and things like that are concerned. I mean, unless there's something wrong with you, you know what I mean? It's just, you got to one up on most people because you're white. You're a white guy. Talk to any type of woman. You're used to not having that type of, or you're used to having, some people call it the white privilege. It's just, you're used to people not viewing you in a negative light. Let's put it like that. Based off, they're not going to look at you as a white guy and your race and view you in a negative light, which could very well happen if it's a black person or a Latino or anybody else of color that something negative might come up. They look at a white person, automatically, negativity is not what's coming up for a lot of people. So that creates an environment at Bethel where your African Americans, your people of color are working extremely hard and taking things extremely seriously and have been doing so for years. I'm talking, if you're a Bethelite, and remember the guy I told you about that was giving the speech in front of all those ladies about baloney or bologna? Nowhere outside of Bethel is a chick. Does a chick care about baloney and bologna? Inside Bethel, them girls was excited. Them girls was impressed. Oh, Jehovah's bologna. Them girls was impressed. They were all surrounding him talking about some damn baloney. If you were a Bethelite, and you gotta understand that people, they take this stuff seriously. People get hungry at different times. So yeah, there are people that would get hungry and they would try to go into the food warehouse and get food. If you want to go into the meat processing and get you some sausage and some bologna, that dude probably would have killed you. Like he's number one being told that assignment is given to him directly from God, that God has assigned him over the bologna. And number two, he realizes he has no roof. The harder you work on that damn baloney, the baddest wife in the world you might end up having. Nobody else in your family got that. Right? But you might have it if you take whatever assignment you get at Bethel super seriously. So if you get hungry and you try to break into the meat processing and go get you some slices of bologna to eat, you might get your ass whooped. It's that serious. This type of environment, culture, it's not really like that outside of Bethel from what I have seen. It really isn't. It's not like, because it's not like you're a ministerial servant, so you're just going to be able to, you no longer have a roof. You just go do whatever, grab whoever, or you're an elder and you just no longer have a roof completely. No, at Bethel, the roof's gone. It's gone. I'm talking, you talk to any woman. I've done it, and I wasn't even trying to date. I travel to a different congregation with a brother and just walk around the hall talking to people, and them girls are just staring at you like in a daze, like they hypnotized. How long have you been there? And it don't matter how fine they are. It does not matter, because to them, you're that freaking billionaire. Like, you know what I mean? You're Bill Gates to them. If you're a Bethelite, you've been there for a while and you got a title. So for Watchtower to maintain its current structure, where you got so many whites in certain positions, the only way that this can be done is through racism. Because you understand that all those white guys at Bethel do not like this. They do not. It's a fact that at Bethel, a black brother can walk through there and, based on his assignment, titles, things like that, get the same sisters that a white brother would. That's true. That is the fact. A black brother can grab the same sisters a white brother could at Bethel if he's got a lot of clout at Bethel. A nice job at Bethel that sounds good. And they're aware of this. Blacks and whites are aware of this, and the whites do not like it. I'm telling you, they do not. That was one of the problems I had with my overseer, is because he's trying to hold me back. And he's trying to elevate this other white kid that didn't even want to be there. The kid left. He didn't want to be there. He was there because his parents wanted him there. But he's a white guy that did not want to see all that good go to a black brother. The only way you do not have a just complete mixed governing body, a governing body of people just of all races, is because the white power structure at Watchtower has been holding blacks down. They're not going to let another black person in the governing body until Hurd is dead. That's not possible without holding people down. You understand that Bethel, they can't keep a black brother from marrying a Japanese, Chinese, Mongolian sister, a sister from Thailand. I mean, they can't stop that. There's nothing they can do to stop that, because there's just nothing. But they can stop you from moving all the way up into the governing body and high positions like that, and they do. Comment down below. I'm telling you, for Africa, for people of color going into Bethel, they work their tail off because they no longer have a ceiling in their minds as far as certain things. So why is it for over 100 years, everybody is white? Every president, every governing body member except for one, all these people are white. It's not possible. And look at the type of white people that are in the governing body. Weird looking goofballs that just got picked. They weren't the best of anything. They just got picked and put there. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Racism is the only way. Blacks have not worked their way from the bottom of Bethel all the way up all this time. Because they work their tails off. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. X-Wall Kill Bethelite signing out. 937-789-4029. Text. We'll discuss it.